Hey everyone, welcome to Group Text. Well, we're in person today with, I'm so excited to have you here, Monica Garcia from The Real Housewives of Salt Lake. You're the one everyone's talking about. I don't know how to say that gently.
No, thank you for having me, by the
thrilled.
way. Thank you. I'm excited.
So, okay, we're going to sort of, there's so much I want to ask you, starting with,
Okay.
where did you grow up? I mean, you just all of a sudden you sprung fully formed on a TV show. So I'm guessing you started as a child somewhere.
Yes. So I actually was born in Boston. So my grandmother and grandpa actually immigrated to Boston on a boat from Portugal. Mm-hmm. So my family is still all in Portugal and Boston. And then from Boston, we moved to Arizona. And then we moved to Portugal. Yeah. And then Pennsylvania, New York, Arizona. I've kind of been everywhere.
Why?
My mom, she was just
a gypsy, just moved?
Yes,
That's
honestly.
What in show business you call the people who travel all over.
No, she would refer to herself as a gypsy, 100%.
Yeah.
She was just, she loved trying new things, trying new places and new jobs, and so we kind of just went where that was.
That had to be really hard, though, constantly moving. And I always feel badly for the kids, and you hear about with army brats and things like that, because your social life gets disrupted.
Yes.
How much do you think that helped you and or hurt you?
Mm-hmm. I remember being very angry about it growing up. Mm-hmm. I remember as we drove away in a moving truck, and all my friends came to say goodbye, and I was 9, and it was heartbreaking. I remember going to 3 different junior highs, and I hated it. But now looking back as an adult, I'm actually grateful for it. I learned a new language. I got to see where my family came from and live in another country and experience the East Coast and do all these things that so many people haven't. Mm-hmm. But at the time, I think I did harbor a lot of resentment.
Do you think that it gave you some resilience?
Yeah, 100%.
That 100%. Later in life, completely, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Has been a helpful tool.
Yeah, very helpful, yes.
So how did you get to Utah?
My ex-husband, he lived in Utah, and we actually met online. We did long distance for a year while I was in Arizona, and then I just decided to move to Utah to be with him.
And you have 4 children?
4 girls, yeah.
All with him?
So my oldest, I actually got pregnant when I was 19 and had her, but my now ex-husband, ended up adopting her. So technically they are all his, but biologically 3 of them are.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys split.
Yes.
And when you talk about in a couple interviews your sort of childhood trauma, was that your mother literally destroyed every scrap of evidence of your father?
Yeah.
And you made a real point to not do that with your eldest daughter.
Yes.
How conscious, obviously it was a conscious decision, but did you understand why your mother did what she did finally?
No,
really?
I still don't, because it's so hard, because since I have a daughter with a very, very, very similar situation, I almost don't even understand it even more, because it's so hard to just keep a photo of the dad to one day show your child. So, I still don't understand. I mean, she says, I never thought that was going to be the last time we saw him. I can understand that.
Right, because now as I know, I look at my life and decisions my mother made, which at the time I didn't understand and made me really angry or really hurt or whatever.
Yep.
And then suddenly when you're in their shoes, you go, oh, I kind of get it. I don't want to do the same thing, but I understand why they did.
I think for me, it's not even just about that. It's not about my mom destroyed, photos of my dad. It was even who he was as a person that she hid from me for so long that I found out through other family members. And then I would ask her about it, and she would say, yeah, that's true. So it's why couldn't you tell me anything? I'm 39. And I just...
Don't say that wrinkling your nose. I'm like, oh my God, I'm 39.
No,
it's fuck off.
No, meaning she's had plenty of time between, let's say, 18 to now.
Absolutely.
To tell me your father was gay. your father was this, you know, this is that, you know? That's what I just don't understand.
Once people become famous or notorious or whatever word you want to use, relatives sometimes can like pop up.
Yeah.
Has that happened?
No.
Really?
No.
Do you think he knows you're his?
You know, I do know that he made my mom get a paternity test because he actually didn't believe that I was his. But obviously it showed I was.
Yeah.
We don't know each other. So I think he could, people are like, do you think he's watching you? And I'm like, he could be, but I don't think he would know, you know?
Yeah. Because you always hear about these stories that somebody pops up in someone's life and you're like, oh, really? Now you're interested?
Yeah. I also feel like he has passed on.
Really?
I feel like he has passed on. So I almost wonder if that's also why I haven't heard anything.
But you said you lived with your grandparents and things like that. Who was your male role model? Who did you look to? Because I can clearly see who, you know, what my dad gave me, what my mom gave me, what friends of theirs gave me.
Yeah.
Who was that man in your life?
You know, honestly, it is really fucked up.
It can be.
It's very fucked up because my mom dated so much. I say it as like a revolving door of men. And so unfortunately, I would get attached to the men she was dating or engaged to. My mom has been proposed to like 12 times.
Did she keep the rings?
No.
Damn it.
I know. Never. She never
she-
did. She never did.
My mother always said, if a man gives you a ring and wants it back, swallow the diamond because no man will look through shit for a ring.
It's so true. That's such a good point. I'm going to remember that.
Please do.
I'm going to. But so unfortunately, I would look for role models in these, you know, revolving door of men. And so I think that's what's made me have such a fucked up life, honestly. You know, all these little bits and pieces have added up to a messed up situation.
But you, just sitting here, and I just met you, you seem to have a level of self-awareness.
Yeah, I do. Thank you for picking up on that, because I think a lot of people don't think I do. They think she's not aware of how she's acting or whatever, you know, so thank you for saying that.
So we got to talk about Jen Shaw.
Let's talk about
Let's go right into it. So I'm confused. So you were working for her, and then you started posting, or were you posting and then started working for her? What was the order that things happened?
So none of the posting happened until all of us that were involved in that page were out of her life.
Okay.
I was her friend first, and then I started assisting for her.
It never works out.
No,
Never.
yeah.
That's a recipe for disaster.
Yep. And that's when I started seeing all these other things, was when I was, you know, assisting with her. And then I left, and then that's when we started the burner page.
You made the decision to work with the authorities.
I did.
So, you know, which I didn't know that you were friends first.
Yes.
At which point did it become, her behavior become intolerable to you, that you had to sort of make, and people don't think about this, a moral decision?
Yeah.
Whether to stay silent or to expose basically what was a scam.
Yeah.
How did you make that choice? Because we all find problems with our friends, or things they do, or things we like that they do or don't like what they do. And you have to make a decision to address it, but you had to make a decision that was, you basically became a whistleblower.
So there were 2 nights in particular that happened. Jen Shaw threw things at me.
Physically or verbally?
No, physically. Like literally, she physically picked up glass items and chucked them at me.
When you were working for her?
Yes.
And she never would have done that as a friend?
I hope not, but I don't know. I mean, Heather was just her friend, and she punched her square in the face. So I don't know. Maybe she would have as just a friend.
Right.
But when I really decided I'm out, I'm done, and I'm going to authorities, was when one night we were in her car and she told me about her business.
And you just felt that that so much damage was being done to other people that you had to speak up? Or was your gut, was it a knee-jerk because I just fucking hate you and I hate how you've treated me and you're not who you say you are and you're a shitty person? Or was it, I can't let this happen to other people?
all of
Or
that.
Or was it both?
It was all of that. It was, you're a piece of shit person to my friends, you're a piece of shit person to me, and you're a piece of shit person to all these elderly you are completely fucking over and stealing from. And I knew so many people that knew about it, and no one was saying anything. And a lot of people are like, she was working with Jen Shaw, so she's just as guilty. She made a plea deal. You can call the federal government and ask them. I had nothing to do with any of that. I literally went to them as someone that was like, I have information, what she's doing, she's really doing it. And it felt like the right thing to do. A lot of people are like, you're a rat, you're this. Okay, that's fine. It was the right thing to do.
Well, because we all get into, I have some friends that I don't like choices they've made in their lives. And knowing that I would have had to go to the authorities, although that would have been exciting. It could have called me in the middle of the night to come bail them out. It would have been exciting.
Yeah.
But on personal decisions, on things way they live their life that I don't agree with.
Right.
But it's still hard to take that next step when you're doing something that is going to change someone's life in a public and legal way, that you're going to be sending them to jail.
So I know I didn't send her to jail. I mean, they were
her own actions sent her to jail, but to even open Pandora's box.
Yeah. I was happy to do it because they already had a 10-year case. And at that point, they were just looking for more information at, what was going on at that time. I knew what was going on at that time.
Right.
I do feel like there were a lot of her victims had taken their own lives. This was really awful what was happening. And I don't feel like my testimony, I was supposed to be a witness in the trial, would have helped, it would have been heard, but I was not a deciding factor in her going to prison or not. It was just another witness on a long list.
It had to be a really hard decision to make.
It was very easy.
Really?
It was very easy.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you tell me this. If I'm sitting here, I'm saying some of the most berating things to you. I'm saying we're supposed to be friends. I'm taking money from you and everyone else of your friends. I'm throwing shit at you. I'm throwing food at you. I'm telling you I'm going to beat you the fuck up. How hard is it going to be to go to the authorities and be like, this person is really doing this shit?
Again, I guess it's not that hard.
No.
But by the way, it takes a lot of, courage to be the friend that does that and says enough. But do you think it's changed her? Do you think you actually, in a weird roundabout way, may have helped her?
No, I don't think I helped her at all. I don't think, and maybe...
The question is, has she learned?
I hope so, but I think the only person that honestly would be able to answer that is her. Obviously, you're afraid of the backlash. You have this fear of coming out of what other people are going to do to you and whatever. But as far as the decision to go to authorities and say, I know this is going on, I've seen this, I've seen that, that was easy to do because it was the right thing to do. And I know, especially the cast is just like, we can't trust you because of what you did to our friend. And it's like, I can't trust you because of what you didn't do. Like, honestly, you didn't go to authorities and you knew shady things were going on. She was assaulting you and you still stayed quiet. So, I mean, what does that tell me?
It's a completely, it's two different lenses to look through.
Yeah, exactly.
So then it takes me to my next question was.
Yes.
So the people, the ins and outs of the show, you know how they edit it, all these things. Why in God's name would you then sign up for it? It's like I look at other shows and I think, I'm a huge Below Deck fan.
Oh, yes.
So I watched Below Deck and these people chartered the boat, come on, act horribly.
Yeah.
Why do you think that's not going to get out there?
Yeah.
How could you knowingly... did you take lead of your senses? Because people come to me all the time. Oh, do you want to do another reality show? I'm like, not so much.
Yeah. I needed the check.
Really?
Plain and simple. I am a single mom of 4 girls. I wanted the opportunity. I wanted to be able to open other doors. I want to be able to provide for them. There is no shame in me admitting I needed the money. I wanted the springboard. I wanted the platform, and I wanted to be able to do other things from that. That's why anyone does these shows.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're not doing it to have fun. I mean,
Yeah, well,
it's hard. It's so hard.
By the way, and we always used to joke, like my mom and I, is like, people think that reality shows, like, could you imagine if someone actually followed you around, how boring it would be?
Yeah.
Here's me on the phone. Here's me sitting at the computer.
Yes.
Here's me picking at my skin. You know what I mean?
Yep. And maybe it is fun for some people. But I was going in as the only new girl in a veteran cast.
Right. Which
that
is
is hard.
And with a history.
Very muddy history.
Very muddy history.
Yes.
You know, you talk about being and it's a term that I've used, is the insider, the outsider of the insiders.
Yes.
And it always makes me always feel very sort of lunch table-y. And I'm going through a personal situation with that right now, but I've gone through it professionally.
Yep.
Even with my mom, where we were allowed to be on the red carpet, we couldn't go into the shows. No one ever invited us in. We only, here we are changing, turning people showing up to an event into a televised event.
Yeah.
And we only got invited to the Vanity Fair party once.
Interesting.
So I understand the emotion of it.
Yes.
How did you not go home, and you've got 4 girls, and just feel so shitty about yourself?
You know, I will tell you, I did not feel so shitty about myself until after reunion.
Really? Because I think a lot of it is, you still feel like an outsider. So why after reunion?
I felt like an outsider. So, first of all, I think anyone would do what they could for a come up. If anyone tells you that they wouldn't, that's a lie.
Yeah,
so
100%.
There's no shame in me as a fan wanting to go on there, as a broke bitch wanting to go on there, or whatever, people want to label it, as a stalker, however you want to say it, you would all do the same damn thing. And, survival mode is real.
Oh, yeah.
And I was going through a very nasty divorce that involved domestic violence with my 4 girls. So I was going to do whatever the fuck I needed to do. And I was going to suck it up and make it the best I could. The reason why I felt like shit after that reunion was because that was 13 hours straight of a complete gang up. I could not get a word in edgewise, and it was right out the gate. I mean, within 5 minutes, Heather Gay had these recordings between me and my best friend that she was playing. I mean, it was right up. Oh, my best friend pretty much said, "Here's my phone, take what you want," from Monica.
I'm guessing she's not your best friend anymore.
No, she's just, Heather's friend / hairdresser, I guess. She's not my best friend, no. But this was someone that I spent holidays with, every Sunday family dinner with. Our kids were friends. It was awful.
A lot of people, though, are saying you did the same with the anonymous posting.
100%. They're not wrong. And I said many times, I'm living my karma. I deserve it because I did it to someone else.
How do you get your head around that? I mean, again, I mentioned that you have this sort of air of self-awareness. How do you explain this to your daughters? Do you say this is actually a life lesson?
It is a life lesson, truly, in many, many, many different ways. I mean, it's be careful who you trust. I thought I could call my best friend at the time, vent about my shitty day on a random Tuesday. I never in a million years thought that would be played on a stage with women that hate me. That in itself is a life lesson.
But again, I just need to stop you on this just because I've done reality shows.
Yeah.
You knew what you were walking into.
I did and I didn't.
How did you not? First of all, when do you remember even first watching The Housewives? What was your favorite franchise? And then you got an insider's look at it when working with Jen.
I mean, yes and no. She never filmed or did any of that when I was around. So I was never around for that. But,
Did you watch the franchises before?
Yes, I love Bravo. I've absolutely seen the franchises before.
What was the first one you watched?
I honestly don't. I want to say OC. I want to say OC was the first one I watched with Vicky and Tamara.
Right. But just to go back, you are smart. You've been around. You watch the show. You know how the sausage is made.
Yes.
How can you have had sort of a naive expectation going in?
I did not think my best friend was going to flip like that. I did not bank on that. I had everything else pretty much, you know, I knew was going to come out, whatever. I did not for a second think that she would have ever done that to me. And that's where I was naive and really fucked up, because I trusted her with everything. At that time in my life, she was like my spouse. I had no one else. I told her everything. And I did not for a second think that she would ever do that.
How are you protecting your girls from all this fallout?
They don't even know, honestly. I don't play it in the house. They've never seen the show. You know, Jade, my 14-year-old, people don't even talk to her about it at school. I've been very fortunate in that area. My 18-year-old, she doesn't watch the show. They really haven't seen it. And when we go out, everyone is so nice. So they haven't seen what mom deals with. Which, you know.
Which is good.
Yeah, one day they will, you know, when they're older. You know, 6 and 7 is young, but I'm sure they'll come to me and be like, oh my gosh.
But also it gives you, when they're teenagers, go, do not watch this and do not do this. Learn from mommy's mistake.
Exactly. Yeah.
Did you at one point, especially with the posting and all that, did you start to think this is going too far?
100%.
But yet you kept doing it.
Yeah, we all kind of, it was so weird because it was never just one person. So it kind of was like one person's running it, you know, for this period of time. And then they are like, I'm over it. And then someone else, and then someone else. And then, you know, it was just kind of like a rotation of whatever. So yeah, I think that we got so, honestly,
I mean, I also say, like, it sounds a little bit like you guys were kind of living in this vacuum. And that can get people in trouble when you are not looking at the bigger picture of what you're doing is going to affect other people.
We just became so overcome with justice and wanting to be like, she screwed us over and let's you know.
Was that with Jen?
Yeah. That it just kind of it totally got out of control. I mean, I can absolutely sit here and say, that was a little much.
You had to assume that walking in, again, you're not naive, walking into the show not going, oh man, these other women are going to be pissed and not like me. Plus you're walking in as beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
And someone who knows, again, I keep going, having insider knowledge.
Yeah.
That knowing that you could expose all of them.
So you know, Andy Cohen kind of asked me the same thing at Reunion where he said, I gotta say, I'm a little surprised you don't understand why they're pissed. And
no, I think you do understand why they're pissed. My question is more, how pissed they were was there forethought going into this going, okay, I know they're gonna be pissed?
I did not think for a second that they were going to be that pissed. Yeah. I did not think for one second that they were going to be that pissed, because they can say what they want, but they were fans of that page and they loved it and they wanted Jen exposed just as much as we did. Just as much as we did. They were, some of our page was, they loved it. They watched every single story. They commented back. They responded. They were in the DMs. I don't care what they say. They loved that page and they loved that it was taking down Jen Shaw.
That's really interesting because none of them will cop to that.
No. And even actually at Reunion, I read some text messages that Angie said that she was like, this page was the greatest fucking day of my life. And she's like, yeah, so what? And it's like, so what? So that proves my point. You were not affected by this and you loved it. So stop acting like this is, you know, the end of your world.
You're so self-assured in that you made the right choices. Do you think that inner strength from maybe moving around all those places as a kid and having to be so resilient is helping get you through this?
Yeah. And I do want to say, I know I didn't make all the right choices.
No.
I'm like, girl, I did not make all the right choices.
I wasn't going to attack you, but you made some really bad choices.
Some really fucked up shit.
Some things that you look back and go,
shouldn't have done that. Wish I could take that back for sure. Yeah. I can own that.
And why I should have slept on this.
Yeah, I probably should have taken a step back. Yeah. You know, there's all these things. We all have stuff like that in our life. Oh, yeah. Like, we've all done things that we're like, yeah, probably shouldn't have done that. Or that was a mistake. Or I'm going to learn from that and do better in the future. But what are we talking about at the end of the day? A fucking burner page? Like, get out of here. For someone that's sitting in prison? Like, what?
Well, it gives her something to read.
Yeah. Exactly.
You're saying that you realize there's times you probably should have said, let me rethink this.
100%.
Or let me think about it. But it's very hard. And think that's why I respond to this is being the outsider of the insiders or the insider's outsider.
Yes.
It's hard not to get angry. And when you're
100%.
angry, it's hard not to lash out.
Yes. Yes.
Do you, in hindsight, go like you just said, not my greatest choices?
No, yeah.
I still get angry thinking about specific things. Do you still get so mad?
I think the only thing that really, really just blows my mind is the hypocrisy that we're going to sit there and crucify Monica for something like that when every single one of them has done some really fucked up shit, said really fucked up shit about each other. Like it's, you know what I mean? It's kind of, it's literally like Jesus and the whores.
Really?
Where it's like, cast the first stone, bitches. Like, none of you can pick up a stone and throw it at me because you all have your own shit. So what are we doing? You know, I mean, look at what Lisa said about Meredith. My gosh. You know, you're saying your best friend was a whore and fucked half of a state? Like, come on. I never said anything like that.
And that's an interesting take on it. So now Bravo has said you're not coming back.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I am, from a producing side, kind of shocked about.
Everybody that is in production or has been in their life says the same exact thing, that they are shocked.
Do you take that as a compliment?
Sometimes
you're like, oh my God, she's a total shit disturber. Let's throw her back in.
Yeah. You know, I don't, I'm shocked that the women had that much power. That's what I'm shocked about.
How can you be shocked about this?
Because I feel like, you know, like you just said, from a production's point of view, it's about money, it's about ratings, it's about views, it's about all of that. So when we had such an explosive season, I mean, Congress was talking about it. You have Jennifer Lawrence talking about it. You have T-Mobile quoting me, HBO. Like, I mean, it was insane. And then to just cut it off is wild to me. Just because a couple women refused to film with someone. I mean, I just feel like, was that the best decision if you care about, you know, the show as a whole and you want a successful show? You know, it did blow my mind. It did.
You've been painted very much as a villain.
Yeah. Yes.
Has anyone from that group reached out and actually been supportive?
Mary has been incredible.
Really?
Mary has honestly...
Sorry, I keep saying really because I'm so interested. No. I just want that on the record. I'm aware that I keep saying that.
Well, I'm aware that I keep saying, I always say truly, honestly, so we're the same.
Okay, yeah. I just keep going like, really?
Yeah.
So I'm aware. Thank you, people.
No, I'm aware too
Before
of
everyone
mine.
starts why do you keep saying really? Really?
No,
because I'm kind of
well, it's
amazed.
shocking stuff, yeah. I mean, I could sit here and say, you know, Heather Gay wrote into Tanisha and asked the page to post stuff about Jen for her, and, you know, people wouldn't believe any of this stuff. It is. It's like, really? And
so that happened?
100%. And I showed it at Reunion, and they cut it out.
How frustrating is that? How frustrating was the edit of Reunion?
It was infuriating. So, you know, I mean, Andy Cohen was great, and he did keep trying to give me opportunities to come out, but I shut down. I was done. And I knew...
Bad time to suddenly shoot.
I know. Down. But it was like, by part 3, right? Which is our 10, whatever. You're exhausted. You're beating your head against a wall. And I knew, you know, we weren't going to get anywhere. The women wanted what they wanted, and they got what they wanted, you know?
You said that Mary's really supportive.
She's incredible.
What did she do? Or what has she done?
Yes. She checks on me as a human being. And that's what I think is so important, is people forget we're human beings. We have feelings. We have children. We have all these things. You know, I have had some of the most disgusting stuff said about me. It's like you forget that there's a real life person on the other side that's made mistakes, just like you. And Mary sends me the sweetest text messages. She sends me quotes, inspiration, positive like videos, and she's just like, I want, you know, she'll text me and just be like, are you good? I just want to make sure you're okay. And it makes you feel like, okay, someone cares about your mental state, because that gets lost in the reality shuffle sometimes.
Very much so.
Yeah.
You've launched, you have a business. Was it Baby Brea?
Yes.
Okay. I'm so shallow. Has this made sales go up or down?
No, you know what? I was not prepared. I didn't even really think that anything would, spike sales. And then the show aired and it was like, poof! And I didn't have the inventory. I had to order the inventory. Sales got delayed. People were pissed off because I was not prepared.
Well, because when you Google you and it comes up.
Yeah.
And then people go on and say, oh, actually, I'd like that.
Yes.
I just bought something off Instagram right before you got it.
Yeah, exactly.
A pair of compression gloves.
Ooh, I've never heard of that.
Well, I've had 2 thumb surgeries and I play a lot of tennis and pickle and paddle.
Oh, that makes sense.
And I'm like, the brace rubs.
Yeah.
I know nobody cares about this, but the brace really rubs. So I've been looking for something to wear underneath it. And I'm like, came up on my Instagram feed. I'm like, yes.
Sold. Immediately, yes.
And poor Wendy's like, great. You've ordered something else off Instagram. I get sucked in. So stuff went skyrocketing.
Yes. It was insane. I've never had sales like that ever. And I was not prepared for it. I didn't have like the inventory to back it. I mean, it was a mess. And in fact, the women threw that in my face. Like they've never started a business ever before in their lives either. It's like, damn, can I have any room for any kind of anything? Like no grace whatsoever. I can't even like refund a customer for shipping delay issues without you making it a story. Like give me a damn break. I'm fucking human. Like I'm trying to balance everything by my damn self, Oh
yeah.
So yeah.
I'm just sitting here going, you should go on Shark Tank.
Yeah. Could you imagine?
This could be your audition tape for Shark Tank.
Yeah.
It's like, exactly. Too bad we don't have any product to sell.
Seriously.
So you have another Instagram account listed on your personal account, which I love, at officially persona non grata.
Yes.
And it's a private account for anyone who's ever felt unwelcome. Yeah. Okay. It's a private account, but yet you're shooing people away.
I know.
How do you decide who gets to follow or come into it? Yeah. Or is it more of just a play?
No. It's actually for a new product launch. But I'm actually in between samples and figuring out the designs.
And what is it though? What's the product?
So it'll be like sweats, like hoodies, crews, sweatpants, and it'll have, it's like merch. It's just merch. So then once I have because of what happened with my swaddles, okay? I don't want another disaster. Yeah. I don't want to make people feel like any kind of way. So once I have the product, I will make it public and you can order and all of that.
So I went to BravoCon this year.
Did you see me?
No, I was going to say, did you go to BravoCon?
Yes,
what were the fans like? I didn't see. By the way, I was working the whole time, so just because I didn't see you, I doesn't mean anything.
I'm like, wait, I didn't see you. The fans were absolutely incredible. Incredible. I almost wonder if that's why some of the ladies were so pissed, because the fans have been amazing with embracing me and accepting me, and as not your typical housewife. And I don't think that was something that people planned on.
Do you think that's what pissed the ladies off a lot?
I think it pissed some of them off a lot, yes.
How did you, because what people don't know at BravoCon is everyone's running around backstage and everybody's pretty much in the same hotel and everyone's running through the elevators and the lobbies. The funniest thing for me at BravoCon was I stayed at the Four Seasons. We all stayed at the Four Seasons.
Yes, yeah.
It's where they kind of put all the housewives up. I put myself up there because, well, I'm spoiled and it's me. I'm going to 100%. Yep. I like a good Four Seasons.
It's really nice.
I'm a big fan of the Four Seasons. I definitely have, they know me in the computer system.
I love it. Yeah.
So how did you avoid being really uncomfortable even walking around backstage? And it's for as big of a space it is, you're constantly seeing each other and seeing people and in the elevator and here. So how did you avoid not getting stuck in an elevator with someone?
I don't know how that didn't happen. I guess because our schedules, my cast and I we had nothing the same. So we were on completely different schedules. So maybe we just were never at the same place, same time.
So they kept you separated.
Yes. They kept us separated. I did actually run into Meredith in the elevator room. She was very nice. She was civil and kind, and you know, very quick interaction, but she was civil.
Okay.
Whitney and I had an interaction. She was very nice. But yeah, the other ones not so much. But yeah.
So you're now known as a Bravo villain.
Bravo villain, yeah. And they asked me at BravoCon on that press carpet, who's the greatest villain in, you know, Bravo? And I'm like, I don't know, because this was before.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I know. Little did I know I'd have to say myself.
But I just finished watching Traitors.
Yes.
You could do Traitors.
I would love to do Traitors.
Because they have all the villains from all the shows.
I know. I feel like it would make sense, but we'll see. I don't know. I feel like I would get voted off really early. They'd be like, she's a villain. You know? It's her for sure. She's a traitor.
Do you kind of, in a weird way, enjoy that notoriety as being known as a villain? And how has this affected your dating life? Are people scared?
Are people scared?
Like, do these men go, oh shit, she's gonna rip me to shreds? Or men are like, I can take her.
Yeah,
I can tame her.
You want to know what?
What?
Okay, this is actually interesting. I get younger men. I do not get my age or older. So I think the younger men are just like, I can handle this. They're too naive. So I get them, which is great.
Remember, if anyone proposes, swallow the ring.
Okay, yeah, I know that now.
What do you have next?
Oh man, I wish I could say, but there are definitely things coming up that I'm really, really excited about.
Well, I am so glad we had a chance to chat.
This has been so fun.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I've loved it, really. Thank you.